Act as if the battle is already won, because in truth it is. The victory has been sealed long before your eyes could see it or your hands could touch it. The end was written in your favor before you even began to fight. Life is not about struggling to win. It is about awakening to the realization that you already have. Every challenge you face is not to defeat you, but to reveal the strength and authority that already lives within you. When you act as if the battle is already won, you shift from striving to knowing. You no longer plead, you proclaim. You no longer wait, you walk in fulfillment. You no longer fear, you stand in the assurance that all things are working in divine order for your good. To act as if the battle is already won means to move through every moment with inner stillness, with a quiet confidence that no matter how things appear, the outcome is settled. It means to carry the energy of completion in your heart, even while the world shows you the appearance of conflict. It is to know that appearances are only shadows, reflections of past thoughts, fading echoes of what once was. But your inner knowing, your inner assumption, that is the command that reshapes the outer world. The greatest battles are not fought outside of you. They are fought and won in the silence of your own mind. They are won the moment you refuse to believe in defeat, the moment you see beyond what seems to be happening and claim the unseen truth that victory already belongs to you. Do not let temporary appearances intimidate you. The storm cannot break you when you already know the sun is shining above the clouds. You only need to hold your awareness in that higher realm. Feel the victory, live from it, breathe from it. The world must conform to the conviction that possesses your heart. When you act as if the battle is already won, you stop reacting to circumstances and start commanding them. You understand that the power that brought everything into being responds not to fear, but to faith, not to worry, but to certainty. Every time you choose peace over panic, you are affirming that the war is over. Every time you speak life over your situation, you are reinforcing your divine dominion. You are not begging the universe to make things right. You are declaring that they already are. The language of victory is not desperation. It is gratitude. The posture of triumph is not tension. It is rest. Rest in the knowing that what you have desired is already yours in the unseen, and what is unseen will soon take form. Rest, not because you are avoiding action, but because your action is now guided by faith, not fear. You move with purpose, you speak with authority, you decide with clarity, because deep within you, you already know how the story ends. You are not trying to make it happen. You are allowing it to unfold. The moment you accept that the outcome is already complete, every thought and emotion begins to align with that truth. The vibration of your being changes, and so the mirror of life must reflect that new state. Life cannot resist your assumption. It must obey it. When you see yourself as victorious, when you feel it as real, when you embody it in your daily walk, everything around you begins to rearrange itself to confirm what you believe. You meet the right people, the right doors open, and every obstacle transforms into a stepping stone. Do not wait for external proof to believe that you have already won. The proof appears after the belief, not before it. You must dare to walk as if every promise has already been fulfilled. Speak as though the breakthrough has already manifested. Think as though every mountain has already moved. Your faith is the victory. It precedes the evidence. The unseen realm responds to the tone of your inner conviction. It listens not to your words, but to the feeling behind them. Feel victorious and watch how swiftly the world bends to mirror your triumph. You are not a victim of circumstances, you are the author of them. The external world is nothing but the printout of your internal state. When you act from the awareness that the battle is already won, you reprogram the entire field of possibility. You no longer wait for change, you become change. You no longer ask when things will shift. You realize they already have in the invisible. The moment you occupy that victorious state within, the outer must follow, for it has no choice but to reflect the inner command. Every battle you face is simply a mirror calling you to remember who you are. You are not here to be defeated. You are here to awaken to the power that cannot lose. Even when the world seems chaotic, even when your mind is tempted by doubt, you can stand still in the knowledge that you have already overcome. The victory is not something to achieve, it is something to remember. The power that breathes through you is eternal. It has never known defeat. So, when challenges arise, do not ask, "Will I win?" Instead, declare, "It is done." Do not plead for strength, stand in it. Do not hope for peace, embody it. Do not wish for favor, walk in it. Your world will mirror your inner conviction. Every force that once seemed against you will begin to cooperate with your intention. People will appear at the right time. Doors will open effortlessly. Opportunities will align as if by divine choreography, and it will all feel natural, because it is the unfolding of what was already complete. Victory is not a destination, it is a state of consciousness. It is a frequency you tune into, a reality you occupy. When you assume it, when you live from it, every fragment of life adjusts itself to harmonize with your awareness. You can feel it right now if you choose. You can feel the ease of having won. You can feel the peace of knowing it is settled. You can feel the joy of seeing the manifestation even before it takes form. That feeling is your evidence, your invisible crown, your sign that all is well. There is nothing left to fear. There is nothing left to fight. The only battle that remains is the battle to stay in the awareness of your victory. Guard your mind from the whispers of doubt, for doubt only thrives in forgetfulness. Remember who you are. Remember the power that sent you here. Remember that life is not testing you. It is responding to you. When you act as if the battle is already won, you stop being tossed by the tides of circumstance. You become the calm within the storm, the steady light that no shadow can overcome. You realize that every so-called setback was secretly a setup for your elevation. You see that every closed door was redirecting you to the one meant only for you. The path unfolds not because you fight for it, but because you trust it. And trust is the mark of one who knows the end is already written. Live from that end. Feel from that end. Speak from that end. Let your imagination dwell only in victory, for imagination is the womb of creation. The more you inhabit the state of having already triumphed, the faster your world must bring you evidence of that truth. The moment you feel it real, creation begins to rearrange itself. The unseen forces that govern life start moving in your favor, aligning people, places, and events to manifest your victory in physical form. So act as if the battle is already won. Smile even before you see the result. Give thanks even before the answer appears. Walk with your head held high, not in arrogance, but in divine assurance. Let peace become your proof and joy your evidence. The outcome is not uncertain. It is finished. What you have claimed in faith will soon stand before you in flesh. The battle was never yours to fight. It was always yours to remember that you had already won. When you act as if the battle is already won, you no longer give your power to the struggle. You stop feeding the illusion that you are at war with something outside yourself. You begin to see that the real battlefield has always been the mind, and the real victory has always been inner alignment. Everything you experience externally is the echo of what you have accepted internally. When your inner world stands firm in peace, faith, and knowing, the outer world must bow in submission to that invisible decree. You see, the battle only appears when you forget who you are. It only feels like a fight when you are still identifying with limitation, with the noise of appearances. But once you return to the awareness that everything is finished in divine imagination, you stop resisting and start allowing. You begin to understand that the end has always been perfection. Every obstacle dissolves before the light of that realization. Every shadow vanishes when the sun of knowing rises in your consciousness. To act as if the battle is already won means to stop giving energy to worry and doubt. It means that instead of rehearsing problems, you rehearse solutions. Instead of seeing enemies, you see mirrors. Instead of focusing on delay, you focus on divine timing. This is not denial, it is mastery. It is the recognition that the external only obeys the internal, and therefore the highest work you can ever do is within. When you master your inner dialogue, you master your destiny. Speak to yourself as one who has already triumphed. Let your inner conversation reflect the language of victory. Do not say, "I hope it works out." Say, "It already has." Do not say, "I am trying to overcome." Say, "It is done." Let every word that leaves your mouth carry the vibration of completion. Because every word is a seed, and every seed bears fruit after its kind. When your words match the end result you desire, creation rushes to fill the space between imagination and manifestation. Life is not against you. It is responding to you. Every event, every person, every situation is simply mirroring your dominant state of being. When you assume that you have already won, you stop reacting and start directing. You no longer move as one who is begging for favor. You move as one who knows favor surrounds you. You no longer search for evidence. You create it. You no longer question whether you are worthy. You realize that worthiness was never in question. Imagine for a moment that everything you desire has already been accomplished. Feel that relief, that joy, that calm certainty. Let that feeling fill your entire being until you can no longer tell the difference between what you imagine and what is real. That feeling is the bridge. It is the invisible connection between the unseen and the seen, between the promise and the fulfillment. Stay faithful to that feeling. Guard it as sacred. Refuse to be shaken by appearances, for appearances are temporary and truth is eternal. The outer world is simply the delayed reflection of your inner conviction. When you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are rewriting the script of your life. Circumstances must reorganize themselves to mirror your new state. This is law. It has no exceptions. The moment you stand in the vibration of completion, the entire universe begins to conspire for your good. People begin to act in alignment with your unseen decree. Events unfold with effortless precision. You walk into rooms that were once closed to you and find them open wide. You are not waiting for things to get better. You are awakening to the fact that they already are. You are not asking for victory. You are realizing you've had it all along. The only reason defeat appears real is because you have believed in it. But the instant you withdraw that belief and replace it with the knowing that all power is within you, defeat evaporates like mist in the morning sun. Do you understand what it means to act as if the battle is already won? It means to live with unshakable inner certainty. It means that even when the evidence contradicts you, you smile and say, "It's already done." It means that even when the world says, "Impossible," you say, "It's already settled." It means that you no longer ask life to prove something to you. You prove your faith to life. This way of living is not arrogance. It is divine alignment. You are not pretending that everything is perfect. You are perceiving the perfection that already exists beneath appearances. You are no longer trapped in the illusion of conflict because you see from the end. You move through your days with quiet power, and everything you touch begins to respond to that consciousness. When you truly know that the battle is won, you stop trying to force outcomes. You no longer push, strain, or struggle. You allow. You trust. You flow. You realize that the power working through you is infinite, intelligent, and always on time. You see delays not as denials, but as divine choreography. You understand that the universe does not make mistakes. It moves in perfect sequence to fulfill your inner conviction. In this state, gratitude becomes your natural language. You do not wait for results to be thankful. You give thanks now. You praise now. You celebrate now. Gratitude is the song of the victorious soul. It announces to creation, "I know who I am, and I know that all is well." And life, hearing that song, rushes to prove it true. Gratitude aligns you with the frequency of completion. Every time you give thanks for something before it appears, you are pulling that thing from the unseen into form. So when the voice of fear whispers, "What if it doesn't work?" you answer, "It already has." When doubt says, "What if I'm not enough?" you declare, "I am everything I need to be." When delay tries to make you anxious, you rest in the truth that divine timing is always perfect. When the appearance of loss tries to haunt you, you stand firm in the knowledge that nothing truly yours can ever be taken away. This is what it means to act as if the battle is already won. You remain unmoved by illusions because your eyes are fixed on the eternal truth within. You are not here to struggle endlessly. You are here to remember your creative power. You are here to awaken to the truth that every word you speak and every thought you hold is shaping the landscape of your reality. The power that sustains the universe beats within your heart. You are not separate from it. You are it in expression. So when you speak from the end, when you live as though the victory is already yours, you are not being delusional, you are being divine. Think about this. Every great achievement in history began with someone who acted from the end. They didn't wait for proof. They walked in the assurance that it was done. Every great invention, every masterpiece, every breakthrough was born from imagination, followed by conviction. The world follows those who have already decided within themselves. The moment you decide, the universe reorganizes itself around that decision. That is how powerful you are. The battle ends when you stop doubting. It ends when you stop entertaining two opposing realities. You cannot hold victory and defeat in the same consciousness. You must choose one. Choose the end you desire, and then live from it as if no other possibility exists. Let your thoughts, emotions, and actions reflect that choice. If you desire healing, think from wholeness. If you desire abundance, think from plenty. If you desire love, think from union. When you live from the result must appear. The outer world has no will of its own. It is like a mirror. It cannot argue with you. It only reflects what you assume to be true. So if you look into the mirror of life and see defeat, do not fight the reflection. Change the image you are holding within. The reflection will follow. This is why acting as if the battle is already won is the most powerful stance you can take. It shifts the image within, and the world has no choice but to follow. You might say, but what about the evidence before me? The evidence is old news. It is yesterday's belief materialized. What you see now is the residue of a former state. The moment you assume a new state, the outer begins to dissolve and reform itself. Stay faithful to your new assumption, and you will witness the transformation. The old will fade, the new will emerge. That is the law of life. It cannot fail. You must learn to walk in silence when the world questions your faith. You must learn to smile when others cannot see what you see. You must learn to rest in the invisible when the visible seems uncertain. That is strength. That is mastery. That is what it means to walk by inner knowing, not by outer sight. And as you persist in that knowing, the unseen becomes seen, the impossible becomes possible, and the battle reveals itself as a lesson in remembering who you truly are. The battle has never been about overcoming others. It has always been about overcoming your old self. The doubt, the fear, the limitation, those were the true adversaries. But the moment you realize that those were only shadows cast by false beliefs, you rise into freedom. You begin to move as one who has awakened from a dream. You understand that no external circumstance has power over the consciousness that knows itself as victorious. Every time you choose faith over fear, you are rewriting your destiny. Every time you respond with peace instead of panic, you are reaffirming that the battle is over. Every time you hold to your vision in the face of contradiction, you are exercising divine dominion. This is not about pretending. It is about knowing. Knowing that what you assume within must manifest without. Knowing that you are never asking for victory. You are remembering it. And when that remembrance becomes your natural state, life itself transforms. You wake up with clarity. You speak with purpose. You move with divine rhythm. You find yourself guided, supported, and supplied in ways that leave no doubt that a higher power is working through you. You see beauty where others see chaos. You find peace where others find confusion. You experience joy where others feel despair. Why? Because you are living from the end. You have decided that the battle is already won, and the universe agrees, even in the smallest things. How you speak, how you walk, how you think, your awareness of victory radiates. You no longer pray from lack, you pray from fulfillment. You no longer seek signs, you become the sign. You no longer hope for change, you live as change. And everything responds to you differently, because your energy declares that you are already where you desire to be. This is the secret of transformation. To act as if the battle is already won is to align your consciousness with the finished work. It is to live from the end, to think from completion, to feel from fulfillment. And as you do, your world reorganizes itself in perfect obedience to that state. Nothing can resist the conviction of one who knows they have already won. The universe itself yields to such faith, for it recognizes its own reflection in that certainty. So stand tall in your knowing, walk with quiet power and unshakable peace. The battle was never meant to weary you. It was meant to awaken you. You were never fighting for victory. You were fighting to remember that victory was already yours. Every moment of doubt was only a call to return to faith. Every seeming setback was a mirror showing you what needed to be released. Now you see clearly. There is nothing left to conquer but the illusion of defeat. From this day forward, live as one who has already overcome. Let your thoughts be firm, your words creative, your emotions anchored in peace. Move as though everything you have prayed for has already unfolded before your eyes, because in truth it has. The unseen has heard you. The end has been declared. The outcome is sealed in your favor. Breathe in that assurance and let it guide every step. Speak only from victory. Think only from fulfillment. Feel only from completion. And as you do, life will respond as it always has to the one who knows. You will see it You will walk in it, and you will know beyond all doubt that you were never fighting to win. You were simply awakening to the truth that you already had. When you begin to act as if your miracle has already happened, something extraordinary begins to unfold within you. You shift from waiting to receiving, from hoping to knowing, from asking to embodying. The entire universe starts to rearrange itself around the vibration of your faith. You are no longer pleading for change. You are standing inside it. You are no longer looking at the promise from a distance. You are living in it, breathing in it, resting in it. This is the essence of creation, to feel the reality of what you desire before it becomes visible, to claim it in the unseen until it must appear in the seen. So many people pray for miracles, yet continue to live as though nothing has changed. They speak the language of lack while expecting abundance. They dwell in fear while asking for love. They look at what is and wonder why what could be never comes. But the secret is simple. You must live from the end. You must enter the feeling of the fulfilled desire and stay there until it hardens into fact. When you act as if your miracle has already happened, you tell life itself, it is done. And life, being a faithful servant, echoes back the very words you speak in faith. There is a great difference between hoping for something and knowing it is already yours. Hope wavers, but knowing stands firm. Hope waits for evidence, but knowing becomes the evidence. When you step into the feeling of your answered prayer, when you walk through your day as if what you asked for has already been delivered, you release the struggle, the doubt, the delay. You open yourself to the flow of divine order, to the power that shapes worlds through imagination and belief. This is not pretending, it is creating. Pretending is fragile, but faith is alive. Pretending wears a mask, but faith becomes the face of truth. When you act as if your miracle has already happened, you are aligning your inner world with divine reality. You are not deceiving yourself, you are awakening yourself. The unseen realm responds to belief, not to begging. The higher law of life does not answer fear. It answers faith, expressed through assumption, through conviction, through the quiet confidence that says, I already have it. Think of the way a seed holds its destiny. The oak is already in the acorn, though the eye cannot yet see it. The potential is complete, the blueprint finished, the end determined. The soil does not question if the seed will grow. It simply holds it, nourishes it, gives it space to unfold. The same law applies to you. The moment you dare to feel your miracle as real, You plant its seed in the fertile ground of your consciousness. When you continue to walk, talk, and feel from that reality, you water it with faith. You cannot see the roots forming, but they are. You may not yet behold the blossom, but it is growing toward you, even as you stand in stillness. Do not say, "One day it will happen." Say instead, "It is happening now." Each time you do, the invisible becomes a little more visible. Every time you feel the joy of your answered prayer, every time you give thanks before you see the evidence, you are pulling your miracle out of the unseen and into form. Gratitude before manifestation is one of the purest acts of faith. It is the vibration of completion, the song of fulfillment. It says to the universe, "I trust you. I believe that what I have imagined is already mine." You must remember that life mirrors your inner state. Whatever you assume to be true becomes your experience. When you persist in the feeling that your miracle is already done, the outer world bends to reflect your inner certainty. The people, the opportunities, the circumstances all begin to align perfectly. You may not see the full picture at once, but one by one, the pieces fall into place. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. What once was delayed becomes delivered. Every great transformation begins in consciousness. The outer is only an echo of the inner. When you imagine yourself already healed, already restored, already living in peace, you are rewriting the script of your life from within. Do not let appearances deceive you. Appearances are only shadows of former thoughts, reflections of outdated beliefs. You are not bound by what you see. You are called to shape what you see. Your imagination is the divine instrument through which miracles are birthed. Feel now what it would be like if your miracle were complete. How would you walk? How would you speak? What quiet confidence would rest in your heart? Let that feeling become the atmosphere of your being. Rest in it. Rehearse it. Live from it. And as you do, the energy of that feeling draws the corresponding form toward you. You do not chase your miracle. You attract it by resonance. The secret is persistence. Do not drop your assumption when outer evidence contradicts it. Remain faithful to your inner vision even when the world calls you foolish. The unseen always precedes the seen. The promise always manifests through faith, not through fear. So when your senses tell you the opposite, when nothing yet moves, remind yourself, it is already done. Feel the peace of that truth. The moment you accept the end as already accomplished, everything in creation moves to make it so. Sometimes, the miracle is delayed only because you are still waiting instead of receiving. You are still measuring time instead of trusting eternity. The moment you surrender the waiting and step into being, manifestation begins. When you believe it's already yours, you stop reaching for it. You start radiating it. Your energy becomes the evidence of fulfillment. Your state of consciousness becomes the magnet that draws the outer reflection. Every time you say, "I am," you are declaring the state you choose to occupy. I am healed. I am whole. I am prosperous. I am loved. These are not just affirmations. They are acts of creation. Speak them as though they were already true, because in the unseen, they are. You are not trying to become. You are remembering what already is. The infinite lives in you now, and every miracle you seek is an expression of that infinite nature. You are not waiting for something to come from the outside. The miracle is not approaching. It is emerging from within. The moment you feel it real, it begins to take shape in the fabric of time. Everything in your world is consciousness clothed in form, and you are the weaver. What you consistently feel, you inevitably experience. What you continually assume, you eventually encounter. So go ahead, act as if your miracle has already happened. Wake up with gratitude as if your prayer has been answered. Walk through your day as if everything is unfolding in divine perfection. Speak as if the blessing is already yours. Give thanks as if the door has already opened. Let your inner world sing the song of completion. The more you live from the end, the more life must conform to that end. The miracle cannot resist the one who lives in the feeling of it already being done. You will find that you no longer need to chase signs. They will chase you. You will no longer need to search for confirmation. It will appear in every corner of your experience. Because when you act as if your miracle has already happened, you are living in alignment with divine truth. You are declaring that nothing is missing, nothing is broken, nothing is impossible. You are saying yes to the unseen power that creates worlds through belief. Hold that feeling of completion long enough, and the world will bow to your conviction. The time between inner knowing and outer evidence will grow shorter and shorter until one day you realize there was never a gap at all, only the illusion of waiting. The miracle was not coming to you, it was coming through you. It was always here, waiting for you to believe it was already done. To act as if your miracle has already happened is to stand in the sacred space between the unseen and the seen, where faith becomes substance and imagination becomes flesh. In that space, you no longer look to the world to validate your hope. You let your inner conviction give birth to a new world. You are no longer bound by logic or reason, for faith transcends them both. You begin to live in a higher rhythm, a divine tempo, where your only task is to feel the fulfillment of your desire so deeply that it leaves no room for doubt. You begin to walk as though the universe has already said, yes, and every step you take affirms that agreement. You see, the moment you decide that your miracle has already occurred, you call forth a new version of yourself. You rise out of the energy of lack, fear, and waiting, and you step into the consciousness of completion. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is recognizing that creation begins and ends within you. Life does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your assumption of already having. When you act as if you already have it, you are no longer sending out the vibration of need, but of fulfillment. And fulfillment attracts fulfillment. Every time you dwell in the state of already having, you are constructing invisible bridges between your inner world and the outer world. The bridge of faith cannot be seen, but it is felt. It carries you from longing to having, from uncertainty to certainty, from waiting to receiving. And the beauty is that you need not know how it will happen. The how belongs to the divine intelligence that orchestrates all things perfectly. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the end you have already accepted as true. If you can persist in this state, even when nothing outside reflects it, your miracle must come. Because the world you see is only a shadow of the world you believe. What you assume to be real within yourself eventually hardens into the facts of your life. If you persist in the feeling that your miracle is already done, you are planting a seed so powerful that no force can uproot it. The soil of time will bring it forth in its appointed season. Do not be discouraged when appearances contradict your assumption. Appearances are merely the remnants of old thoughts dissolving. They have no power except the one you give them. Continue to hold fast to your inner conviction. When you close your eyes and see yourself already living in the fulfillment of your desire, you are entering the creative workshop of the divine. You are painting on the canvas of eternity, and the picture you draw in your mind will one day stand before you in full color. Begin each day as though the miracle were already yours. Before your feet touch the ground, whisper gratitude, not for what is coming, but for what has already come. Feel that quiet joy in your chest, that peace that says, "It is done." Let that feeling guide your actions. Speak from it, move from it, rest in it. When challenges arise, do not let them shake your conviction. Simply remind yourself that they are but echoes of an old reality, fading away as the new one takes shape. There is an unseen harmony that responds to your assumption. The very molecules of your world begin to rearrange themselves when you change your inner stance. When you decide that your miracle has already occurred, you align yourself with the divine pattern of completion. You cease to ask when and how, because those questions belong to doubt. Instead, you rest in the knowing that creation is finished. You are merely walking through the unfolding of what is already complete. When you act as if your miracle has already happened, your words carry authority. You no longer speak from uncertainty, you speak from fulfillment. Your prayers shift from asking to thanking. Your affirmations become declarations. Gratitude becomes your constant companion, for gratitude is the language of completion. When you give thanks before seeing, you align yourself with divine timing. You are saying, I trust the unseen power that brings forth my desire. Imagine how your life would change if you woke each day feeling as though your greatest prayer had already been answered. What energy would you carry? What peace would rest upon you? What joy would flow through your conversations? That feeling, if sustained, would alter everything. For the outer world must eventually mirror your inner world. If your inner world is filled with gratitude, abundance, and joy, the outer world has no choice but to reflect those same qualities. Miracles do not respond to effort. They respond to embodiment. You cannot fight your way into a miracle. You must feel your way into it. You must embody the vibration of completion, even when your senses tell you otherwise. This is the divine paradox. You believe it before you see it, and because you believe it, you see it. Faith always precedes sight. In the unseen realm, your miracle already exists. It is complete, whole, and perfect. The moment you align your consciousness with that truth, you begin to draw it into your physical experience. The process is not one of creation, but of recognition. You are not making something happen. You are tuning yourself to what already is. You are like a radio tuning into a frequency that has always been there. The music was never missing. You simply had to align with it. This is why it is said that everything you desire is already done. The moment the desire was born within you, its fulfillment was born as well. The two exist together in eternity. When you act as if your miracle has already happened, you collapse the distance between desire and fulfillment. You bring the unseen into the seen through the bridge of faith. Faith is the invisible hand that shapes your destiny. It does not beg, it does not doubt, it does not waver. It simply knows. When you walk in faith, you are walking in power. You are saying to the universe, I trust the unseen more than I trust appearances. And in that trust, mountains move, paths open, and miracles manifest. To act as if your miracle has already happened is to become the embodiment of divine certainty. You no longer speak from waiting. You speak from fulfillment. You no longer pray from need. You pray from abundance. You no longer search for signs. You become the sign. Every cell of your being begins to vibrate with the reality of your answered prayer. And soon, that vibration crystallizes into form. There will be moments when your senses contradict your faith. You will be tempted to believe in delay, in absence, in failure. But these are illusions, temporary shadows cast by the light of your new reality. Hold your ground. Stand in the knowing that unseen forces are working on your behalf. Do not let your faith waver, for the unseen responds only to persistence. When you persist in faith, you command reality to obey your inner vision. You are not waiting for your miracle. It is waiting for you to align. It stands at the threshold of your consciousness, ready to enter. The key that unlocks the door is belief. Belief so deep, so unwavering, that it leaves no room for contradiction. When you believe fully, your energy becomes magnetic. It calls forth people, opportunities, and events that mirror your inner conviction. The entire universe becomes your collaborator. You must understand that miracles are not extraordinary exceptions. They are the natural expressions of divine law. The law is simple. What you feel to be true within manifests without. What you assume to be yours becomes yours. What you live from, you live into. Your consciousness is the womb of creation, and every assumption you hold becomes a seed. When you act as if your miracle has already happened, you are nurturing that seed with the light of faith and the warmth of gratitude. Think for a moment about the energy of completion. It is calm, confident, peaceful. It does not struggle or strive. It simply rests in knowing. When you adopt that energy, your entire vibration changes. You no longer seek, you attract. You no longer chase, you allow. The outer world bends to match your inner stillness. So live in that energy now. If your miracle were here today, how would you feel? What would you think? How would you act? Begin to embody that version of yourself. Walk in that joy. Speak in that confidence. Move in that peace. Every time you do, you draw the unseen closer to visibility. You shorten the distance between what is imagined and what is experienced. When you can remain faithful to the end, you have accepted, even when nothing outside affirms it. You are exercising the highest form of spiritual authority. You are declaring that the unseen governs the seen. You are proclaiming that your inner world is the cause and your outer world is the effect. In that realization, you discover your true creative power. Do not measure progress by appearances. The moment you plant the seed, The process begins, though you may not see it. The roots grow in silence. The miracle unfolds in secret. Trust that unseen growth. Continue to water it with gratitude and belief. In time, the results will appear, inevitably, unmistakably, beautifully. Every day, remind yourself, it is already done. Let those words sink deep into your consciousness until they become your natural state. When doubts arise, gently return to that knowing. Feel the peace of fulfillment. See yourself living in the completed reality. Hear the sounds, smell the air, feel the joy of it. The more vividly you experience it within, the faster it takes shape without. Miracles are not delayed. They are delivered through alignment. The only time between you and your miracle is the time it takes for you to believe it is already here. When belief becomes your natural state, manifestation becomes your natural experience. You no longer need to force outcomes. They unfold effortlessly. In this sacred act of assumption, you reclaim your divine identity as a creator. You realize that everything you have ever longed for was waiting for you to step into the feeling of already having it. You become one with the rhythm of divine law, the law that says, as within, so without. The moment you embrace this truth fully, your entire world begins to change. Act as if your miracle has already happened, and watch how life rearranges itself to prove you right. Your outer circumstances will bend to match your inner conviction. People will appear, opportunities will arise, doors will open. Not because you forced them to, but because your vibration called them forth. The unseen responds to certainty. Faith is the master key that unlocks every door. So let your faith be bold, unwavering, and alive. Let your imagination be vivid and your gratitude constant. Carry the feeling of fulfillment wherever you go. When you do, the world will bow to your conviction, and what was once a hope will stand before you as a living reality. You will look back and realize that the miracle was never waiting to happen. It was waiting for you to believe it already had. So now, let your heart settle into the peace of knowing. You do not need to chase the miracle, for it is already yours in spirit, already written in the eternal script of your life. All that remains is for you to live as though it were done, because it is. Every breath you take in faith, every thought soaked in gratitude, every moment you choose to stand in fulfillment rather than lack, draws the unseen into sight. Do not look for signs, be the sign. Do not wait for proof, be the proof. Let your life become the living evidence of what it means to believe before seeing. Walk through each day clothed in quiet assurance, speaking with the confidence of one who knows the promise is kept. The moment you decide to act, as if your miracle has already happened. Heaven and earth move as one to make it visible. Hold that state, nurture it, breathe it, live it, and soon, what once felt distant will stand before you in undeniable form. The world will call it a miracle, but you will know the truth. It was faith made visible, imagination made real, divine completion revealed through you. And from that day forward, you will never again doubt the power that lives within you. The power to believe something into being simply by acting as if it has already happened. Act as if your future self is guiding you now. Feel that presence within you, the wiser, stronger, more fulfilled version of you, who already lives the life you desire. The version who has walked through the valleys, climbed the mountains, and now stands in the sunlight of manifestation. That version of you exists, not somewhere far away in time, but within you now, in a higher dimension of consciousness, waiting for your recognition. You are not waiting to become that self, you are awakening to it. Your future self is not a stranger. It is the essence of who you truly are, already complete, already victorious, already living in the fullness of what you seek. Every dream that stirs in you, every vision that whispers through your heart, is a message from this future version calling you upward. To remember, to believe, to act as if it is already real. When you close your eyes and imagine that your future self walks beside you, speaking softly, guiding your thoughts, leading your steps, you begin to align with that higher frequency of being. You no longer act from the limited now. You act from the wisdom of what has already been fulfilled. This is the sacred secret of transformation. The future you desire is not ahead of you in time. It is above you in consciousness. It already exists in the invisible realm, and your job is not to chase it, but to tune into it. When you act as if your future self is guiding you, you are no longer reacting to what is. You are responding to what shall be. You begin to make decisions not from fear, but from faith. You speak as one who already knows the outcome. You walk with assurance, because the voice within has already seen the finish line. Listen carefully to that inner guide. It speaks not in noise, but in quiet confidence. It never shouts in desperation, it whispers truth. When you hesitate, that voice says, "You have already done this. You have already overcome this moment." When you are uncertain, it reminds you, you have already succeeded in ways you cannot yet see. That is the language of your higher self, the one that sees beyond appearances and knows that your current moment is simply a step toward the inevitable, unfolding of your destiny. When you begin to think from that place, everything changes. The fear of the unknown fades because your future self already knows. The anxiety of delay dissolves because that version of you is not waiting, it is complete. The worry about failure becomes irrelevant because in the realm of imagination, you have already triumphed. Acting as if your future self is guiding you brings divine order to chaos. It aligns the unseen forces of life to cooperate with your assumption of victory. You begin to live differently. You start to carry yourself with quiet strength. You stop begging life to change and start commanding it to conform to the vision that has already been fulfilled in consciousness. You speak blessings instead of doubts. You move with clarity instead of confusion. You forgive easily because your future self already lives in peace. You trust easily because your future self has already seen how every delay, every detour, every heartbreak was working for your good. Your imagination is the bridge between where you stand and who you are becoming. When you close your eyes and feel the presence of your future self, see the way they walk, hear the way they speak, sense the calm assurance in their energy. You are not fantasizing. You are tuning into a real frequency. You are remembering something eternal. You are aligning your inner world with the pattern of the promise already fulfilled. Do not look at your circumstances and doubt. Your present situation is not a reflection of who you are. It is a reflection of who you were. Every time you respond differently, think higher, love deeper, believe longer, you are shifting timelines. You are merging with that future self who has already stepped into the light of manifestation. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are becoming the consciousness through which the miracle flows. When doubt whispers that it is too late, your future self answers, I was always waiting for you to believe. When the world says you cannot, that quiet voice says, you already have. That is the power that lives within you. You do not need to reach for it. It is already reaching for you. Your only task is to feel it, to trust it, to act from it. Every great change begins in imagination. Every transformation begins in assumption. To act as if your future self is guiding you is to declare that you no longer live by sight, but by inner conviction. You speak from the end. You think from the outcome. You walk as one who knows that what they desire is already complete. And as you continue to live this way, the outer world must rearrange itself to match the pattern of your inner certainty. When you rise in the morning, do not say, one day I will become who I'm meant to be. Say, today I walk in step with the one I am becoming. When you face challenges, do not ask, why is this happening? Instead say, what wisdom is my future self revealing through this? Everything that happens to you becomes a lesson, a bridge, a divine arrangement, pushing you into alignment with the reality that already belongs to you. That is the beauty of living in this awareness. You no longer chase signs, you become the sign. You no longer search for confirmation, you are the confirmation. You no longer wait for divine timing. You realize divine timing has already been activated through your belief. Acting as if your future self is guiding you now means you live as though the path is already known, the promise already kept, the door already opened. There is immense power in this. When you walk into a room, walk as one whose future self has already mastered the art of peace, abundance, and joy. When you speak, speak from the voice of that self who already stands in completion. When you pray, pray not as one in lack, but as one in remembrance, that everything you ask for has already been granted in the unseen. Your mind may resist this truth at first. It may cling to evidence of limitation, pointing to circumstances that seem unchanged. But persistence in assumption is the key. When you continue to think, feel, and act as if your future self is already here, you dissolve the illusion of time. You collapse the distance between desire and fulfillment. The two become one, and what was once invisible begins to take form before your eyes. Every act of faith draws you closer to that vibration. Every moment of gratitude strengthens your connection. Every declaration of "it is done" moves mountains in the unseen. And when those mountains begin to move, when life rearranges itself to match your conviction, you will realize it was never about waiting. It was always about awakening. Your future self is not ahead of you, it is within you. It has been whispering to you through your dreams, your intuition, your deepest desires. It is calling you to rise into remembrance of what has already been written. So live today as that self. Think from that place. Speak from that identity. Let every step you take be guided by the wisdom of the one who has already arrived. For the moment you act as if your future self is guiding you, you step into alignment with the life you were always meant to live. Every thought you think is a message to your future self, and every feeling you hold is an invitation for that self to draw nearer. When you act as if your future self is guiding you, you start to live from the frequency of fulfillment rather than the echo of fear. You begin to realize that the path ahead is not something to figure out, but something to remember. There are no accidents in this alignment. Every desire that rises within you is evidence that the reality you seek already exists. The moment you feel it, it's already been created in the unseen. Your future self is not trying to become something. It already is. And as you surrender to that knowing, as you allow that consciousness to move through you, your present begins to rearrange. You stop forcing outcomes and start flowing in harmony with the unseen intelligence that has already written the script of your life. You no longer ask, when will it happen? Because you understand it already has. You simply await its unveiling. Imagine the future you, calm, confident, radiant, walking in purpose, living in abundance, free from fear, fully surrendered to divine love. Now, what it would be like to have that consciousness guiding you every moment of every day. Feel that wisdom in your body. Hear that assurance in your thoughts. That is not imagination, it is remembrance. It is the truth of your being calling you home. The secret is not in striving, but in surrendering. You surrender not to defeat, but to completion. You surrender to the version of yourself that already knows how the story ends. When you act as if your future self is guiding you, you give permission for that intelligence to take the lead. You stop reacting to what appears to be and start responding from what is eternally true. You move differently. You no longer hurry or worry, because you are walking with the one who has already crossed the finish line. This is the power of faith in motion, not faith in something distant or uncertain, but faith in what is already yours. When you act from your future self, you shift from trying to create to remembering creation. You begin to sense that everything that seems to stand between you and your desire is simply a test of conviction. And each time you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you close that gap a little more until it disappears entirely. It is not about forcing the outer world to change. It is about assuming the inner state of completion, so completely that the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. When you start living guided by your future self, you embody peace before it appears, wealth before it arrives, love before it is shown, success before it is confirmed. The outer manifestation is merely a shadow of the inner alignment. Your future self does not live in lack. It does not ask, "How will I survive?" It knows that supply flows effortlessly from the source within. It does not plead for love, it radiates love. It does not chase validation, it walks in truth. Acting as if your future self is guiding you is to practice living from that same consciousness. You begin to think thoughts that your future self would think. You begin to speak words that your future self would speak. You begin to choose peace over panic, faith over fear, certainty over doubt. And as you do, your environment begins to bend. Circumstances rearrange themselves to accommodate your new state of being. People appear, opportunities open, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. You begin to understand that you were never waiting for your destiny. Your destiny was waiting for you to rise into its frequency. In every challenge, your future self has already found the victory. So when difficulty comes, instead of shrinking back, you look through the eyes of that higher self and say, I already know how this ends. I've already overcome this. That is the essence of divine confidence, not arrogance, but certainty rooted in remembrance. You remember who you are and who walks with you. There is a realm within you where all things are already complete. When you close your eyes and breathe deeply, you can feel it, a stillness that knows no lack, a presence that knows no fear. That is the seat of your future self. It does not operate by the clock or the calendar. It operates by alignment. When you feel it, time collapses. The distance between desire and manifestation disappears. You realize that you are not moving toward your destiny. You are expanding into it. Your mind will resist at first because it has been trained to believe in separation. It believes there is a you now and a you later. But the truth is there is only one eternal you, expressing through different states of consciousness. The moment you decide to embody your future self, you merge with that version of reality. You no longer try to fix the old, you become the new. And the old dissolves naturally, effortlessly, quietly. When you walk through your day, act as if that future self is right beside you, because it is. When you face decisions, pause and ask, what would my highest self do here? That single question will change your life. You will find yourself choosing the path of integrity, love, and courage every time, because that is the path your higher self already walks. You will speak differently. Your words will carry more power because they are born from alignment rather than anxiety. You will think differently. Thoughts of lack and limitation will no longer fit within the vibration you now inhabit. You will see differently. Situations that once appeared as obstacles will now appear as stepping stones. You will feel the unfolding of life not as a test, but as a dance, a divine choreography moving in perfect rhythm with your belief. You will stop trying to control outcomes. Control is a symptom of fear. Faith is the flow of trust. Your future self does not control. It creates. It speaks reality into being through inner conviction, through quiet knowing. When you act from that state, you realize that everything that once seemed like resistance was simply a reflection of your inner doubt. And the moment you drop resistance, the universe rushes to deliver what was always yours. The power of acting as if is that it trains the subconscious mind to accept the end as real. Once accepted, it must externalize. The subconscious does not question, it obeys. When you live as though your future self is guiding you, the subconscious begins to rearrange everything: your habits, your relationships, your opportunities, to match that new identity. You do not need to know how. You only need to know who. Who are you being right now? That question shapes every tomorrow. Do not wait to feel ready. Readiness is a feeling that arises when you assume the end. You cannot wait for evidence before you believe. Belief is the evidence. Your future self is already living the proof you seek. Feel it now. Step into it now. Speak from it now. Act as if you have already crossed into that timeline, because in truth you have. You are not creating something new. You are unveiling something eternal. The moment you felt the desire, creation was finished. The future version of you who already lives in fulfillment began to call you forward through the thread of imagination. And every inspired thought, every moment of faith, every act of courage is a step toward that remembrance. The universe is your mirror. It reflects not what you want, but who you are being. When you embody the consciousness of your future self, life cannot help but conform to that vibration. That is why pretending is not fantasy. It is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. To act as if is to declare, I know it is already done. And when that knowing becomes more real than appearances, appearances must transform to reflect the knowing. Every great awakening begins with the decision to live from the end. You cannot become what you are unwilling to believe you already are. Your future self is not waiting for better circumstances, it is waiting for your recognition. Recognition is the door to revelation. The moment you recognize that higher self as your own, you invite the power of that reality into this moment. There will be moments when doubt tries to whisper that you are pretending, that it's not real. But every great transformation begins with imagination. The seed always looks like nothing before it becomes something. Persist. Feel the truth beneath the doubt. When you feel the certainty of your future self, even for a moment, you plant a seed in consciousness that must grow into form. You are both the gardener and the garden. Every thought is a seed, every feeling is water, every assumption is sunlight. If you continue to water your dream with faith and gratitude, it must bloom. The universe is faithful to the law of belief. It will bring to you not what you ask for, but what you assume as true. So assume that your future self is real here, now, guiding you in every step. And the outer world will begin to confirm that assumption through synchronicities, divine encounters, and perfect timing. You are not meant to struggle to create. You are meant to remember your creative authority. The future self within you has already mastered this art. It simply needs you to surrender to it. Surrender does not mean giving up. It means giving over to the truth of who you already are. When you surrender to that truth, the effort dissolves and creation becomes effortless. The great paradox is that the moment you stop striving to make it happen and start acting as if it already has, everything begins to happen. The moment you release control and step into faith, the invisible hand of divine orchestration moves mountains for you. You begin to witness miracles, not because they are rare, but because you have finally opened your eyes to see them. The voice of your future self is calm. It is never rushed, never anxious. It does not say, hurry. It says, trust. It does not say, earn it. It says, allow it. It does not say, you must become. It says, you already are. That voice has been guiding you since the beginning, through intuition, through signs, through dreams, through every desire that stirs your heart. When you choose to listen, you align with divine intelligence itself. The more you act from that guidance, the more natural it becomes. You begin to rely on intuition more than logic, on inspiration more than effort. You realize that you are not separate from the divine flow. You are the flow. The same intelligence that guides galaxies guides your steps. The same power that paints sunsets beats your heart. The same consciousness that shaped your future is breathing through you right now. When you see life this way, fear loses its grip. You are no longer afraid of loss, because your higher self knows that nothing real can be taken from you. You are no longer afraid of delay, because you understand that timing is precision. You are no longer afraid of failure, because your future self already stands on the other side of victory. Acting as if that self is guiding you allows you to experience now what was always waiting to unfold. And the beautiful mystery of it all is this: the moment you fully embody your future self, that future becomes your present, and a new future begins to call you higher. The journey never ends, because consciousness is infinite. Each version of you leads to another, greater still. The path of expansion is eternal. Every breath, every thought, every act of faith is a conversation between who you are and who you are becoming. So keep listening, keep acting, keep trusting that your future self is not far away, but within, guiding you through every moment with perfect precision. When you live this way, you realize that nothing is random, nothing is wasted, and everything is working together for your highest unfolding. So now, stand still for a moment and feel that presence within you, the quiet, radiant knowing of your future self who has already walked this road. Let that energy fill you. Let it steady your heart and calm your thoughts. You are no longer guessing your way through life. You are remembering a path already written in light. Every choice you make from this awareness is a bridge between what was unseen and what is becoming visible. Trust that voice that whispers, "You are ready." Trust the feeling that says, "It is done." For when you act as if your future self is guiding you, you are not pretending. You are awakening to the truth of who you've always been. Walk now in that strength. Speak now from that certainty. Live now from that fulfilled vision. And as you do, watch the world rearrange itself in perfect harmony with the wisdom that has always been within you.